There's something deeply unsettling about feeling fine, and then suddenly, you're not. One morning, you're sipping tea, flipping through the paper, preparing for an ordinary day. And just a few hours later, you find yourself in an ambulance silent, stunned, half your body unable to move. No warning signs, no pain, just one quiet habit you repeated every day until the day it turned against you. That's how high blood pressure works. It doesn't knock. It creeps in quietly, invisibly, and with terrifying patience. What's even more alarming is this: most of us believe we're doing everything right. We take our medications, we eat well, we stay active. But hidden within these well-meaning routines are small mistakes, almost invisible, that slowly wear down the heart, harden the arteries, and raise our risk of stroke, while we're too busy living to notice. Today, we're going to uncover 7 of the most common mistakes older adults make when managing their blood pressure, and more importantly, how to fix each one. Mistake 4 might be something you've trusted for years. Mistake 7 may be the very thing you've been avoiding. Are you ready to take a closer look? According to the American Heart Association, just a 10-point increase in systolic blood pressure can double your risk of stroke. And yet, most people with high blood pressure feel absolutely nothing. No pain, no dizziness, no racing heart. That's why these mistakes often go unnoticed until it's too late. These missteps don't come from carelessness. They come from habit, from old advice, from a lifetime of doing what we thought was right. Some are rooted in fear, others in silence. But none of them are irreversible. This video isn't about blame, it's about clarity. It's about reclaiming control, one small step at a time. If you're watching this, tell me, where are you tuning in from? Drop your city, your state, or your country in the comments. I want to know what hearts are joining me on this journey. And if you have a loved one who's quietly struggling with blood pressure, share this video with them. Because sometimes, just one small share can help keep a heart beating stronger for years to come. I still remember that morning just 3 months ago. I woke up, hands slightly trembling, not exactly dizzy, but not quite steady either. I drank some water, ate a little something, and checked my blood pressure at home, as I do every day. And the number stared right back at me, 165/95. Now, I've been taking blood pressure medication for 12 years. Same dose, same schedule, or at least, that's what I thought. But recently, I'd been taking my pills half an hour late. Some mornings I took them after breakfast instead of before. Just minor changes, I told myself. But when you're 70 years old, those minor changes aren't so minor anymore. And what I didn't realize was that each delayed dose gave my blood pressure a window to rise. Blood pressure is not just a number. It's pressure literally pushing against your arteries every second of every day. When you skip a pill, your pressure can surge quietly. You still walk around, still smile, still feel fine. But inside, your heart is working harder, your vessels are struggling to relax, and your organs, brain, kidneys, even eyes are taking micro hits you don't feel until it's too late. I've seen hundreds of patients who said, "I feel fine. I don't need it every day," or "It's just one missed dose. It's okay." And then suddenly a stroke. They lose a hand, lose their words, or lose the ability to walk unaided ever again. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because I came close to losing something priceless: my control. Every missed pill isn't just a missed dose. It's a chance you're denying your heart to rest. If you've ever struggled with remembering your meds, you're not alone. Here's what helped me: a daily alarm, non-negotiable. Labeling my pill organizer clearly: morning, evening, done. And most importantly, never using "I feel fine" as a reason to stop. Because medication works quietly, just like high blood pressure builds quietly. Think of it like brushing your teeth. You don't wait for pain to start brushing, right? You brush to prevent the pain from coming in the first place. Before I wrap up this part, let me ask you, when was the last time you forgot a dose? If you remember it, write it down. Right now. Because it's only when we notice the pattern that we can begin to change it. In the next section, we'll look at another quiet mistake, a sweet little thing that might be sitting right there in your kitchen, silently spiking your blood pressure. I used to think I didn't eat much salt. I never reached for the salt shaker. I didn't like overly salty food. So I assumed I was doing well. But when my doctor told me my sodium levels were too high, I was stunned. I had no idea where it was coming from until I started reading the labels. It wasn't the salt I was adding, it was the salt already hidden in my food. That's when everything changed. See, most of the sodium we consume doesn't come from what we sprinkle on top. It comes from the very things we've trusted for years: canned soup, deli meat, sauces, even bread. One morning, I took a closer look at a slice of healthy whole wheat bread I ate daily. Just one slice, 170 milligrams of sodium. Multiply that across breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and suddenly I was way over the daily limit without ever tasting salty. The problem is that as we age, our bodies become more sensitive to sodium. Our kidneys don't flush it out as efficiently. It lingers, causing us to retain more water, and the volume of blood in our system increases. That extra volume pushes harder against our artery walls. And over time, this constant pressure weakens them. It doesn't hurt. It doesn't make us sweat. But it damages our heart, raises our blood pressure, and quietly increases our risk of stroke and heart failure. I remember a patient of mine, Ellen, who was so careful with her meals. She baked, she avoided fast food, she never added extra salt. But her blood pressure kept climbing. One day, I asked her to bring all the healthy foods from her pantry. We sat down, and one by one we read the sodium on each label. It was everywhere: crackers, soup, even her favorite salad dressing. She had tears in her eyes, not because she was angry, but because she finally understood what was happening to her body. So if you've ever said, "I don't even use salt," I want you to pause and ask, have you looked at what's already in the food you buy? Start today. Flip that box over. Look for less than 140 milligrams per serving. And if you can, choose low sodium or no salt added options. Rinse your canned vegetables. Make more meals from scratch, even simple ones. I promise your taste buds will adjust. Mine did. And now I taste the real food, not just the salt. The truth is, every bite matters. Every choice either protects your heart or puts pressure on it. So before your next meal, ask yourself one thing: is this food helping me stay strong or quietly tearing me down? Next, I want to show you something even more deceptive, something that claims to be healthy, even heart-friendly, but might be the reason your blood pressure won't stabilize. And chances are, it's in your fridge right now. I used to believe that going to the doctor every few months was enough to manage my blood pressure. I still remember the last time I had it checked at the clinic, perfect numbers. The doctor smiled, and I felt relieved. But just a week later, I measured it at home one morning, and it had jumped to 155. No headache, no dizziness, no symptoms at all. But clearly, something was off. That's when I realized a single good reading at the doctor's office doesn't mean your blood pressure is stable all day long. Blood pressure isn't static. It changes from hour to hour based on what you eat, how well you sleep, your stress levels, even the weather. One reading at the clinic, especially when you're nervous, can be misleading. And on a calm day, when you've rested well and eaten light, it might look artificially perfect. The danger is that small changes, if not tracked consistently, can silently build into something serious, and you won't see it coming. I've met so many older adults who said, "I feel fine, so I'm sure my pressure's okay." But feelings aren't evidence. High blood pressure doesn't hurt. It doesn't make you tired until it does. Until it knocks you off balance, causes a stroke, or starts slowly stealing your memory. That's why I started checking mine at home every morning after I wake up. Just 2 minutes a day. But it gives me priceless information so I know whether my body is staying on the right track. You don't need fancy equipment. A simple cuff monitor, a notebook, and 2 minutes each morning. That's it. It's not the machine. It's the habit that could help you live longer, stay stronger, and avoid being blindsided by a number you never saw coming. In the next section, I want to talk about something else that doesn't hurt, but can quietly damage your heart, raise your pressure, and linger for years without being noticed. Unmanaged stress. And the truth is, it might already be inside you without you even knowing. I used to think stress was just a mental thing. A little worry, a little pressure, it would pass. But after one sleepless night, my blood pressure shot up close to 160. Nothing major had happened. Just thoughts, spinning quietly in my mind, things left undone, words left unsaid, small worries that no one else could see. That's when I realized stress doesn't need to be loud to be dangerous. It just needs to exist quietly, and that's enough. When we're under stress, our bodies react as if we're in danger. Heart rate goes up. Blood vessels tighten. Our system floods with adrenaline and cortisol hormones that instantly raise blood pressure. If it happens occasionally, no big deal. But if you live like that every day because of loneliness, pressure, or unspoken grief, your heart never gets a chance to rest. And slowly, it wears down. I once had a patient named Richard. He was always punctual, took his meds properly, ate carefully, but his blood pressure remained high. It wasn't until his wife passed away and he finally started opening up that I understood. It wasn't salt. It wasn't the pills. It was the sorrow he'd been carrying silently for years. That's the thing about stress. It doesn't knock you down all at once. It just makes you weaker day by day, inch by inch. So if you often feel a quiet tightness in your chest, trouble sleeping, or a sense of fatigue you can't explain, listen to your body. Try 5 minutes of deep breathing. Call a friend you haven't spoken to in years. Sip a warm cup of tea in silence. These things won't solve everything, but they are gentle messages to your heart that say, "I still care." In the next section, I'll share another mistake, one that's easy to make when you think rest is enough. But in truth, physical inactivity might be forcing your heart to work twice as hard every single day. I used to believe that rest was the best thing I could give my body. After decades of hard work, I thought I deserved to sit back, read, watch the news, and let my body recover. But after a few years of slowing down, I started noticing something I didn't want to admit. The less I moved, the higher my blood pressure climbed. a tightness in my chest, shortness of breath after just a few stairs, a racing pulse. Even when I was still, all of it began with what I thought was rest. The human body, even at age 70, was not designed for stillness. Your heart is a muscle. When you move, even just stretching your arms or walking around the house, it grows stronger and pumps blood more efficiently. But when you sit too long, your muscles weaken, your circulation slows, and the pressure inside your vessels rises. Arteries stiffen, and your blood pressure doesn't just stay high, it climbs higher. I remember a patient of mine named Susan, 68 years old, who had retired early. She told me she spent her days reading, cooking occasionally, and not doing anything stressful. Yet her blood pressure continued to rise. I asked, "Do you stand up every 30 minutes?" She shook her head. And that was the issue. When you sit for 2 or 3 hours straight, blood pools in your legs. Your heart has to work harder to pump it back up to your brain. Over time, your arteries lose their elasticity and blood pressure increases silently. You don't need a gym. You don't need to run. You just need to stand up, stretch your arms, roll your shoulders, walk to the kitchen every 30 to 60 minutes. Each tiny movement is a quiet message to your heart that says, "I'm not giving up." And if you can dedicate just 15 minutes a day to walking outdoors, breathing slowly, or tending to your garden, your heart will thank you, day after day. In the next section, I'll talk about a small pleasure many people consider harmless, one that can surprisingly send your blood pressure soaring using caffeine and alcohol the wrong way. And sometimes, it's that very cup of coffee or glass of wine that may be quietly exhausting your heart. I've always enjoyed starting my mornings with a warm cup of coffee. The aroma reminds me of my working years, structured, familiar, comforting. And sometimes in the evening, I treat myself to a glass of wine, a small reminder that I was still living, still savoring life. But one day, when my blood pressure suddenly spiked without any major stress or change, my doctor asked a simple question: "Did you have coffee this morning?" And everything I believed to be harmless started to make sense. Caffeine is a stimulant. It increases heart rate, constricts blood vessels, and even a small amount, especially in sensitive individuals, can cause a noticeable rise in blood pressure. Everyone reacts differently. Some people are fine with 3 cups. Others, like me, may feel the effects after just a few sips. The most dangerous part, many don't even realize it's affecting them. They just feel a little restless, have trouble sleeping, or experience jitteriness and blame it on age. Alcohol is trickier. A single glass may help you feel relaxed at first, but alcohol initially dilates your blood vessels, only to constrict them more forcefully later. It disrupts deep sleep, causes dehydration, and interferes with blood pressure medications. And for those over 60, our liver and kidneys process alcohol more slowly, meaning its effects linger, quietly wearing down our system over time. I'm not saying you have to give up everything. I still drink coffee, but I've switched to a low caffeine variety and always after breakfast. I still enjoy wine, but only half a glass, and never on days I take certain medications. The key is learning to listen to your body. If you feel a flutter in your chest, sudden fatigue, or irregular heartbeats after consuming caffeine or alcohol, it may be time to adjust. Because sometimes, it's the little comforts we cherish most that quietly exhaust our heart. In the final section, I'll talk about one last mistake, one that seems minor, but can quietly unravel everything you've worked so hard to manage, not communicating openly and consistently with your doctor. I used to believe that if nothing felt serious, there was no need to call the doctor. I showed up for my regular checkups, took my medications, and if my blood pressure ran a little high, I just manage it myself. But then, for 3 weeks straight, my numbers bounced up and down low one day, high the next. That's when I finally made a call. And the first thing my doctor asked wasn't, "Did you take your meds?" It was, "Have you changed anything in your routine, your diet, any supplements?" I paused, because yes, I had, but I never thought it was worth mentioning. Many older adults believe that visiting the doctor once every few months is enough. They hesitate to bring up small things. They're afraid of being judged. Or worse, they're afraid of being a bother. But blood pressure doesn't wait for your next appointment. It reacts every day to your sleep, food, mood, new medications, and even the weather. If you don't speak up, your doctor only sees part of the picture. And if you're not honest, it's your body that pays the price. I once had a patient named Mark, a proud, independent man. He quietly stopped taking his meds because they made him feel a bit dizzy. He never said a word. He just cut the dose on his own. A month later, he had a minor stroke. And with tears in his eyes, he said, "I should have just said something." Since then, I tell every patient, no question is silly. No detail is too small. Whether you've changed your medication time, started a new tea, eaten something different, or simply feel tired for no reason, say it. Working with your doctor doesn't just happen in the exam room. It lives in those small check-ins, the notes you bring in, and the courage to speak what's real. If traveling is hard, ask about telehealth. If you feel alone, say so. Your doctor may not be able to fix everything, but they can make sure you're not carrying it all by yourself. In the final section, I'll help you reflect on everything we've learned, then remind you of one powerful truth: you don't need to change everything at once. But every step you take today is a promise to your heart that you're not giving up. You've stayed until the very end of this video. And that tells me something powerful. You don't just care about health, you care about yourself. Not just the numbers on a blood pressure monitor, but the quiet, meaningful things, the steady feeling when your feet touch the floor in the morning, the confidence to walk without grabbing the handrail, the joy of holding your grandchild without trembling, the peace of preparing a simple meal on your own. Because in the end, what we're trying to preserve isn't just stable blood pressure, it's a life free from the fear of falling, forgetting, or depending on others. It's freedom. The freedom to live lightly, think clearly, and move confidently. The freedom to say, "I can still do this every single day." Today, we've talked about 7 mistakes: skipping medication, hidden sodium, not monitoring your pressure, letting stress linger, sitting too much, overusing caffeine or alcohol, and not talking to your doctor. Each one may seem small, easy to overlook, but together, they quietly build a wall between you and the life you deserve. The good news is every one of them can be fixed. And the first step doesn't have to be big, it just has to begin today. Maybe it's pulling out your home monitor, sending a quick message to your doctor, standing up and stretching, choosing water instead of wine tonight. You don't have to do it all. Just start with one. If any of these mistakes felt familiar, leave a comment. Tell me which one was hardest for you, or which one surprised you most. And let me know where you're watching from so we can see just how many hearts around the world are taking action together. Because when you share your story, someone else might recognize themselves in it and take their very first step. And if you haven't subscribed yet, click that button. Not just for tips, But because this isn't just a YouTube channel, it's a circle of people like you who've chosen not to let high blood pressure rewrite their story. We still have so much to talk about, like 5 foods that seem heart healthy, but may actually be raising your blood pressure silently. That's coming next, so stay with us. You've already done the hardest part. You chose to care. Now, let's build something stronger, one steady heartbeat at a time.